People hear me go, we everywhere, you never there. And it's because I was already in the arenas. So what would I be doing back in the nightclub?
Yeah. A bombshell lawsuit has shaken the hip-hop world to its core. Terrence T. Dixon, a man who once stood in Fat Joe's inner circle, has stepped forward with a jaw-dropping claim. He says he witnessed the unthinkable, a superstar rapper allegedly grooming and isolating young people, all while working under Joe's own company. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more insane, boom! Fat Joe's legal team claps back hard. Joe, Warren Joseph Antonio Cartagena, isn't brushing this off. He's fighting back with everything he's got. But what started as a lawsuit quickly spiraled into something explosive, because then 50 Cent broke his silence, and what he said changed everything. 50 claims Fat Joe once tried to have him taken out. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just rap beef anymore. This is about an alleged murder plot, and whispers that Joe's crew was moving like a full-blown crime syndicate. And this isn't coming from tabloids or trolls. It's coming from someone who knows Joe better than most, his former hype man, by his side for over a decade. Now spilling secrets that could destroy everything. So, where does 50 Cent fit in this tangled mess? Everyone remembers the G-Unit versus Terror Squad war. It was legendary, but according to this lawsuit, it may have been deadlier than we ever knew. The allegations, shocking. They say Joe tried to get 50 Cent eliminated more than once, but 50's security, elite, trained, unshakable, and every time, the plan crumbled before it could turn fatal. Still, that's not even the wildest part. 50 Cent finally responded, but his reaction left fans confused. Because instead of outrage, he downplayed it, said it wasn't that serious. Wait, what? Why would he minimize something so dark? Is he protecting someone, himself? Or is there a deeper story we still don't know? The internet's in chaos, the timeline is messy, the names involved, major dot, but the claims absolutely explosive. Some even say this makes Diddy's allegations look tame. So let's break it down. According to the lawsuit, Terrence Dixon says Fat Joe didn't just want 50 silenced. He wanted him gone. He claims Joe ordered a hit right at the peak of their beef, planning to disguise it as a random robbery. A calculated, cold-blooded plan laid out in black and white legal documents. The papers say Joe, living in Miami at the time, got word that 50 was appearing in New York. That's when he allegedly gave the green light. But 50, rolling deep with Navy SEAL-level security. The crew Joe sent reportedly chickened out. Even worse, the lawsuit claims Joe was furious the hit didn't go through. He allegedly told people straight up, put a bag on 50's head, and he was shaking with rage when nothing happened. He wasn't bluffing, he wasn't venting. According to Dixon, Joe was actively plotting, studying 50's tour dates, tracking his movements, trying to set him up at public events. This is next level. So when the lawsuit dropped, the world waited. Would 50 blow up? Would he press charges? Instead, he did the unthinkable. He posted a photo of him and Fat Joe with Young Buck's track, Prices on My Head playing in the background. Then, in the caption, 50 wrote, "These baseless accusations are not credible. I'm sorry Joe has to go through this. This is stick-up culture. I wrote this hook. I should have kept this one." Fans were stunned, supporters were divided, and questions started flooding in. Why is 50 backing off now? Is he being smart? Or is there something he's not telling us? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. Stay tuned, because in the world of hip-hop, truth is often stranger and darker than fiction.
I like to tell the people home, I feel so safe tonight with all this police protection courtesy of G-Unit.
That move left everyone speechless. Some say 50 Cent is trolling. Others think he's defending Fat Joe. And a few believe he's just playing chess, because maybe, just maybe, the accusations are true. But here's where it gets really disturbing. This isn't some random internet rant. This lawsuit comes from Terrence Todd Dixon, a man who stood by Fat Joe's side for years, not a stranger, not a blogger, a trusted member of Joe's inner circle. And Dixon isn't just talking about rap beef. He's describing something far more sinister. According to him, that alleged murder plot against 50 Cent was just the tip of the iceberg. Because what Dixon accuses Fat Joe of next is downright horrifying. He says Joe was involved with underage girls, paid for surgeries, bought silence, and crossed lines that should never be crossed. He claims Joe funded medical procedures for a 15-year-old girl, that he gave her money, clothes. He even covered her phone bill, all in exchange for what Dixon calls unthinkable acts. Let that sink in. A global superstar, allegedly grooming a teenager behind the scenes. And that's just one of the three Jane does named in this explosive 157-page federal lawsuit. The second girl, Dixon claims she was a 15-year-old white minor he met overseas, flown into New York and Miami multiple times. And get this, he says Joe paid for her to get surgery so she'd look older. A shocking twist that's got fans and insiders shaking their heads. Then there's Jane Doe 3, a Latina girl, met Joe when she was around 15 or 16. According to Dixon, he says Joe became so obsessed, he even considered leaving his wife. The allegations say he paid her bills, brought her on tour, and even moved her into a condo just blocks from his own Florida home. And all of this allegedly happening while Joe was deep into his 30s. People are asking, is this the real Fat Joe? Or a side of him he's kept carefully buried from the public eye? Dixon says it's real. He even dropped pictures of Jane Doe 3 posing with her high school friends, claiming those were taken while Joe was moving her across state lines. That's a serious claim. So the question now is Fat Joe actually facing a RICO case? Well, technically, yes, but not criminal. It's a civil RICO lawsuit, and here's why that matters. Civil RICO is a legal weapon built from mobsters and organized crime rings, but in this case, it's being used by a former insider who says, I saw it all. RICO doesn't go after lone wolves. It targets entire systems, patterns of crime, fraud, extortion, witness intimidation, trafficking, you name it. And that's what Dixon is trying to prove. He's painting a picture of a criminal enterprise run by Fat Joe, not just as an artist, but as a boss. He even names two alleged co-conspirators, Pistol Pete Torres and Richard Rich Blair, calling them key players in Joe's so-called operation. And let's be honest, in today's rap game, RICO talk isn't new. From YSL to Casanova, even Diddy's name is in the mix. The feds are watching closely. But this isn't just a headline, it's a bomb ready to go off. The biggest mystery in all of this, why did Dixon stay silent for over a decade? Why now? What changed? 50 Cent called this whole thing a stick-up, but people aren't convinced. Some say Dixon finally cracked, others believe he's telling the truth, and many are wondering, what else don't we know? Because if even half of this is true, we're not just witnessing the fall of a rap legend, we're watching the unraveling of an empire, and the scariest part, this might only be the beginning.
After Terrence T.A. Dixon filed a complaint alleging that he witnessed the rapper groom, isolate, and sexually exploit minors while employed by his company, a lawyer for Fat
He says he stayed silent for one reason, fear. Not fear of losing a job, fear of losing his life. Terrence Dixon didn't just work around Fat Joe, he was right beside him, on stage, on tour, in the background of every major move, 16 years. City after city, mic in hand, crowd roaring, Joe's hype man, his shadow, and now, his greatest threat. Dixon claims he tried to back away, to break free, and when he did, the threats got real. He says Joe kept him close, not out of friendship, but because he knew too much. To the public, Terrence Dixon was invisible. Just another face behind the spotlight, but behind closed doors. He was watching everything. And now, he's flipping the whole thing upside down. Claiming Fat Joe didn't just run a label, he ran it like a mafia boss, used fear, intimidation, and manipulation to control everyone in his orbit. Dixon says this wasn't about one explosive argument, it was years. Years of being underpaid, used, pushed out the second he stopped playing along. And when he finally said enough, that's when the real drama began. But it gets even wilder, because Dixon isn't just pointing fingers at Joe. He's coming for the power players to Rock Nation. He's dragging them into the fire. In the lawsuit, Dixon names Rock Nation as a strategic facilitator, saying they knowingly supported Joe's criminal operation, or worse, chose to turn a blind eye. That's a bombshell. This isn't just a beef, it's a full-blown RICO-level takedown attempt. And get this, Dixon isn't just saying, I saw it happen. He's saying, I lived it. He claims he was a victim to forced labor, financial fraud, threats, trafficking, not just street talk. These are heavy, federal-level accusations. And just when you think it can't get any messier, there's the timing. Why now? Why speak after all these years? Some say it's about justice. Others say it's revenge. But a lot of people are asking, is Dixon trying to ride the wave, cashing while the feds are already circling the hip-hop elite? Or is this his only shot to finally speak the truth? The theories are flying, and social media is already split in two. Because what Dixon's lawsuit lays out is detailed, painfully detailed. He claims Joe used legit businesses, record labels, merch, club gigs to move money, silence people, and keep the whole machine running. A rap label on the surface, a criminal network underneath. And the part that's got people really talking, Dixon says Joe didn't just use fear, he used loyalty. Helped families, paid bills, got people out of jail, and in return, they stayed loyal. They stayed quiet. Until now. Because Dixon says if you cross Joe, you better watch your back. That's not just drama, that's mafia energy. Fans are calling it the fall of an empire. Others say it sounds more like a mob movie than a music career. But if what Dixon says is even half true, then this isn't just another scandal. This could be the start of something massive, something viral, something unforgettable. And we're just getting started. Another angle no one can ignore. Who else knew? Because if even a piece of this lawsuit is real, it could drag in some very big names. Collaborators, promoters, industry giants, artists who stood next to Joe for years, all now under a shadow of doubt. Dixon dropped a chilling hit. He says others in the music world knew exactly what was going on and chose to look away. Now fans are side-eyeing every photo, every handshake, every backstage moment. Because if this goes to trial, the fallout could be massive. Joe's camp is calling it a money grab, a desperate play for fame and cash. But there's real fear in the air, fear that others will come forward, that more names will be exposed, and nobody wants to be the next viral scandal. Industry whispers are growing louder. Who's gonna get subpoenaed? Who's scrambling behind the scenes? And more importantly, who's next? Right now, all eyes are on Fat Joe. Is he gonna stay quiet and settle behind closed doors? Or step into the ring and fight this thing head on? Because if this lawsuit cracks open like many expect, it won't just put Joe on trial. It could shine a brutal spotlight on an entire era of hip-hop, one that many people in power would rather keep buried. And here's the wild part, this might only be the first domino to fall. We're talking about a 157-page federal RICO lawsuit, loaded with shocking, jaw-dropping accusations, from criminal enterprise operations to alleged involvement with underage girls. But in the middle of this firestorm, 50 Cent is acting like it's no big deal, brushing it off, calling it a setup. Fans are stunned. Why is 50 so confident that Joe is innocent? Let's not forget to 50 torched Diddy with accusations long before any trial. He even teased a documentary dragging Diddy's name through the mud. He's been calling out Jay-Z for weeks now, even hinting that Jay was tied to the explosion of Kid Cudi's car. But now, with Joe facing a lawsuit that literally names Roc Nation as co-conspirators, 50 suddenly hits the brakes, goes silent, plays it cool. Some say he's protecting Fat Joe, others think he's protecting himself. Because if Joe really did put a bag on 50's head back in the day, like Dixon claims, and if even a sliver of this lawsuit holds up in court, this could be bigger than anyone imagined. Some fans are already calling it the beginning of the RICO wars in hip-hop. Insiders are whispering this doesn't end with Joe. The feds could start digging through every corner of the culture, every crew, every label, every artist. And with 50's name tangled up in the middle of all of it, there's talk that he might end up in the hot seat too. Because if this thing blows wide open, nobody's untouchable. The chessboard is shifting, the stakes are rising, and the game is far from over. If you want to stay in the loop as this wild story unfolds, like, share, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is really going on here? Is 50 playing it smart or hiding something of his own? Because in this game, every move has a consequence, and no secret stays buried forever.